join us for a day of fashion at the races. We check out the street fashions in Harajuku, take a stroll down Savile Row, meet the designer behind Sex and the City, Patricia Field, and lament the demise of New York's garment district. I never thought I'd land in pictures with a face like mine. The famous words of legendary actress Audrey Hepburn, who not only made it in the movies, but became the muse for fashion designers and lovers of style everywhere. Hitting Hollywood in the 1950s, Audrey entered the fray amid a bundle of busty blondes. Curves were definitely the order of the day, but this waif-thin, flat-chested brunette would soon change all that. Hepburn was a trained ballet dancer with an elongated neck and visible clavicle and shoulder structure. But Hollywood was determined to make Audrey wear prosthetic shoulders to shorten the length of her neck. Thankfully, a meteoric rise to superstardom put her back in control of her appearance. With her gamine style and elfin features, Audrey cut a svelte figure on the red carpet. She became a devoted fan of the elegant, feminine creations of designer Givenchy. She became his muse. It was a match made in heaven. Breakfast at Tiffany's just wouldn't be the same without that iconic black dress, long-sleeved gloves and pearl accessories, ever so cheekily partnered with a paper coffee cup and Danish. Hepburn made Givenchy a star designer, and he made her a fashion icon.
This spring season is really the meeting of Katharine Hepburn and Audrey Hepburn, and Katharine being a little bit more sporty, tailored, a little bit more man-tailored, and Audrey Hepburn being much more feminine and pretty. So what we've done is we've kind of blended those two girls, and with these great little kind of sweetheart dresses.
I think that if you saw Audrey Hepburn in her heyday, she picked extraordinary clothes from Givenchy that made her look great at that moment. I think it's about the individual and what she feels she's going to feel comfortable in.
Bored with the fashions at the local mall? Hop a plane to Japan and head down to Harajuku and Yoyogi Park shopping precinct. There's no time for window shopping here. You'll be captivated by the intriguing style of the Japanese youth. Rococo and Victorian-inspired designs adorn young bodies. Everywhere you look are lace-trimmed bonnets and Victorian hook-up boots, along with flouncy dresses finely tailored. They call themselves the Gothic Lolitas, or Goth Lolly for short. It's a subversive subculture, one that popped up in the late 90s, in reaction to the newly conspicuous Kogal girls, those blonde, fake-tanned, high-heeled wearing girls who like to splash around their parents' credit cards. Gothic Lolita rails against the empty materialism of the Kogal culture. Using French Rococo design as the main Gothic Lolita staple was an act of genius. This is the period in French history where rich people flaunted their money so heartlessly, and decoration was there for sheer retinal impact, devoid of social commentary or any real meaning. The Gothic Lolitas turn Rococo on its head, mix it with a little post-punk tartan and Kubrick-inspired makeup, and make a fashion statement loud and clear. If it all starts to get a bit much, you may have to stop for refreshment at one of the many cafes along Takeshita Dori before resuming your fashion anthropology on the ever-so-photogenic Gothic Lolita tribe. Apparently, they love having their photos taken with the tourists, so don't be shy to play your part in their parody. At the end of the day, they're just kids having fun with fashion.
私自身はなんかなりたかった自分というか、そうですね、理想というか、そういう感じですかね。
Gothic Lolita is not just a fashion, it's a lifestyle.
欲しくだともっとかっこよく、もっと闇だけを見つめていて、ちょっともしかしたら人から見られると怖いと思われるものから、それを抱えながらも可愛く見せたいっていう女の子の気持ちがそこからは出てきてるのかな。 思います。
If you're considering an attempt at Gothic or Classic Lolita, buy a copy of the Gothic Lolita Bible or Kira magazine. If you can't afford Victorian lace-up boots just yet, long knee-length socks with Mary Janes or Mary Jane-inspired heels work well. Look for blouses with old-fashioned Peter Pan collars for that childlike Lolita look. Lace, fine pleating and smocking are nice details to have in your outfit. Skirts should be just above or to the knee and always complete with an A-line or bell-shaped petticoat, never a full circle one. Skirts are fitted on the waist, in direct opposition to the current hipster trend. Hair can be classic Victorian or with post-punk elements of bright colour and asymmetrical cutting. The choice is yours. This is a style that is sure to attract attention, so be ready to be commented on as you parade down the street. Since Queen Anne first ordered the event in 1711, the Royal Ascot Races have been a drawcard for thousands of visitors from all over the world. The race is one of Europe's most prestigious, but the fashion at Royal Ascot can sometimes outshine the glossy coats and colours of horses and jockeys on the track. It's been customary since its inception for members of the royal enclosure to be outfitted in full morning dress, not forgetting the top hat. Traditionally, ladies wore formal dress, gloves and hats. A parasol to protect the ivory complexion was a must. The rules for the commoners in the stands are a little more lax, but most people chose to dress up to the nines. The track is only 6 miles from Windsor Castle after all. You wouldn't want to bump into the Prince in anything less than your Sunday's best. With over 300,000 people visiting Royal Ascot alone, racing season is a dream for British milliners. Every woman wore a hat trimmed with flowers, gems and ribbons of every shape and colour, a tradition that still persists to this day. Traditionally, a milliner would have outfitted both men and women for not only hats, but capes, kerchiefs, cloaks, shirts and caps. But as the old has given way to the new, these days milliners work primarily on women's headwear. But things couldn't stay this glamorous forever. Over time, skirt hems have crept up. Ankles have been shown since the 1920s, and thanks to Jean Shrimpton's faux pas at the Melbourne Cup in 1965, gloves have disappeared and knees are freely on display. The 1960s and 70s heralded a much more adventurous era in fashion for the Royal Ascot Races. The countercultural hippie influence was everywhere. Hats were still huge though, but the colours were altogether wilder and the form rather more sculptural. Jean Shrimpton's miniskirt influence was definitely here to stay. In fact, the 1970s credo for racing fashion was anything goes. Queer colour combinations such as purple and lemon or straight-out aqua were well and truly acceptable. As was cross-dressing. If you were female, by all means wear a suit, complete with top hat, and all the better to make it orange. The 70s were a time for breaking boundaries, and as long as it was bright, tight and not quite right, you were in. Today's racing fashion is rather more conservative and highly derivative. An elegant and simply cut dress in muted colours allows the attention to be drawn upwards to the all-important hat. Fascinators provide an elegant alternative to the hat, an arrangement of feathers, gems or other materials placed daintily in the hair. Modern milliners have fun with their creations, but perhaps Stephen Jones' works are the most sought after in the UK. This milliner has received an Order of the British Empire for his work and passion for the trade. Elegance and tradition with a twist, perfectly balanced and proportioned, never garish and bold, yet subversive in the subtlest of ways. It's a long day out at Royal Ascot, ladies, so mind what you wear on your feet. Go for a mixture of style and comfort. And amid all the fashion watching and celebrity spotting, don't forget, there are horses racing too. London, Paris, Milan, New York, the world's leading fashion cities. But unfortunately, taking a walk down Fashion Avenue, New York City, could become a thing of the past. The garment district is shrinking. It used to be a beehive of rag trade businesses, 1 square mile packed with zipper stores, fabric shops and garment manufacturers. 16,000 people travel to 7th, 8th and 9th Avenues daily to sit behind their sewing machines or drafting boards and go to work dressing the world. But thanks to an increasingly competitive foreign market in China, India and Latin America, and astronomical rent hikes, it's becoming less viable for designers to do their business in New York. Just ask the 7,000 people who have lost their jobs in the garment district over the last 10 years. Oscar de la Renta, Donna Karan, Ralph Lauren. These are only some of the designers who still get their clothing samples and embellishments made in the district. But as if to add insult to injury, the mayor is making it even harder for the garment district by abolishing protective zoning laws. Since the late 80s, rents have been protected and buildings in the area designated garment industry only. With no zoning laws, landlords will rent buildings out to the highest bidder. Goodbye schmatter trade, hello office culture. There's no reason for designers to remain in New York if there are no manufacturers to make their wares.
I do 80% of my manufacturing in this neighborhood. So in order for me to sustain my business the way I like to run it, I need this neighborhood to stay viable and the factories that I work with to be able to remain here.
In a last attempt to protect the industry, a group called Save the Garment Centre is lobbying the local government to allocate them 2 rent-protected buildings. It's a far cry from the bustling 1 square mile of industry that flourished for nearly a century, but it's something.
One of the reasons why I have great quality with my clothing is because we can walk in and check it at any time, and we can pull production lots and fix the fit if something goes wrong. We have a lot more hands-on. I don't want to have to move my business to China.
So what is the future of fashion in New York? The fashion institutes are still training students, but will there be an industry left for them to work in?
Well, I try to encourage, let's say, graduates from FIT or Parsons, to come into the factory and see for themselves. The practicality is, if you see it, then you can know how to design a little more and create a lot more designs.
New York's Fashion Institute of Technology graduates close to 10,000 students every year. Up until now, it has been entirely possible for graduates to forge a career in the city they love.
You need someone to give you a hand and to be a small-scale partner and to really work with you to start to grow your dream and your business. If you don't have someone that can make the first 10 samples that you can get into a showroom, you don't ever have a prayer of getting things to the point that they'll be in a Bloomingdale's or a Bergdorf's or a Macy's or a JCPenney for that matter. Depends what your target is.
In its heyday, the garment district produced about 95% of the clothing in the USA. Half a century later, and it is a mere shadow of itself. But people are banding together to try and keep the fashion vibe alive.
For this neighborhood and in fact this city to remain a fashion capital, you need to have the new talent that's continually coming into the neighborhood, continually feeding the industry with new ideas and new perspectives and new designs, and they need a place to make it.
London, Paris, Milan, and last but not least, New York. They are the fashion capitals of the world. With a little town planning and community spirit, hopefully New York won't fall off the list. The only thing smoother than Old Blue Eye's voice was his sense of dress. Even as a young crooner, Frank Sinatra had a sense of style that had bobby soxers fainting in the aisles. Sinatra and suits went hand in hand, and only bespoke would do. Individual hand-tailored craftsmanship. An LA tailor by the name of Cy Devore was the mastermind behind the Rat Pack look. Rat packers would often pop out to Cy's studio on Sunset Boulevard just to hang out. Cy was a genius with a three-piece suit, and he wasn't tame with colour when it came to Frank. A yellow or bright plaid suit was often accompanied by a flamboyant bow tie. If there was a breast pocket, a kerchief would be there. Shirt cuffs protruded from sleeves and were dressed with gold links. A Federer hat often finished the look. Cy paid great attention to detail, and Sinatra looked $1 million because of it. In his later years, Sinatra was drawn to darker colours. It was common for him to appear in navy blue or black suits, but the elements of his signature style still remained. Three pieces, with square breast pockets adorned with kerchiefs, a matching tie impeccably knotted, starched cuffs that would reach his knuckles if his hands were by his side, but were perfectly placed at the wrist when his hand was on the mic. Frank passed away in 1998, but his suave style lives on. If you're looking for the English cut-in suits, there is no finer place to shop than Savile Row, London. For the last 160 years, London's best tailors have been found in this precinct.
I think Savile Row needs somebody else to blow their own trumpet. You know, it's not them. They've, you know, whenever Henry Poole, you know, Angus Cundy, the MD, is asked, which celebrities do you dress? He always says, oh, Nelson, Churchill, will that do?
Gentlemen from all over the world travel to London specifically for the Savile Row experience.
I think a lot of Italians like to have English clothes still, but they just probably don't want to talk about it.
Legend has it that this is the birthplace of the bespoke suit. Bespoke tailoring is completely customized to the individual, including the choice of fabric, which would be spoken for by the client. Hence the term bespoke. There is a traditional rivalry between Savile Row tailors and Italian tailors. Some say an Italian cut is softer and closer fitting to the body.
British tailoring and Italian tailoring have coexisted for a very long time, and I don't think there's any tension there between them.
Button placement is a little higher in Italian suits, and kissing cuffs are traditional as opposed to the English overlapping barrel style. And some people swear the hand stitching on Italian suits is superior. However, there is a lot of crossover between the two traditions and many exceptions to the rule. Henry Poole & Co. have been tailoring since 1806. They established themselves with military uniforms around the time of the Battle of Waterloo. Some of the garments are still in incredible condition. Unfortunately, Savile Row is under threat. A decrease in the demand for bespoke tailoring and rising rents are placing businesses under threat. At last count, there were only 19 tailoring businesses left in the area. The Savile Row Bespoke Association was formed to address these concerns, but the fact remains, clothes are being made en masse and very cheaply in large overseas factories. But if it's the perfect fit you're after, you might want to take a stroll down the row. It wouldn't be New York fashion without Patricia Field. Working her way through 4 decades of garment design from the 60s till now, this Manhattan fashion stalwart rose to fame as the costume designer of Sex and the City and The Devil Wears Prada. Sarah Jessica Parker met Patricia in '95. The two struck up a friendship, and the rest, as they say, is fashion history. Parker's character on the show, Carrie Bradshaw, became a beacon of style to women all over the globe, thanks to Field's flair for design. Field has won 5 major awards for her work, including an Emmy.
Our clothes are very, very, I would say sexy and very, very thinking of the woman's body at all times.
Whether Bradshaw was sauntering down Fifth Avenue in haute couture and Manolo Blahniks, or lounging about in her rent-controlled apartment in a bandana, shorty shorts and a tee, she looked great. Everyone now wanted front-row tickets for the next ready-to-wear show at the House of Field. 40 years of hard work was finally paying off.
Sex and the City affected the world and of the way women dress, I think, in a major way, and I'm happy for that. And the way is independence, power. You have good arms, show them. You don't have to dress like a man if you want to go be in the corporate. You can use your power. If you have a great body, you don't have to cover it up. Use it. Use your power, whatever is your power. Identify your power and use it.
Check out the latest creations at the House of Field. Just when you thought advertising couldn't possibly break any new ground, here comes Jason Sadler from IWearYourShirt.com. Jason has sacrificed his own personal wardrobe to wear your logo for a day. Just click on a day on his online calendar and book Jason for a date with your t-shirt. It's a novel way to get your message out and about. But thinking outside the square has always come easily to this graphic design graduate. Jason will make a video of himself in your shirt and get the message out to his contacts on Facebook and Twitter. He'll wear it out and about for the day around Jacksonville, Florida.
I wear t-shirts for a living.
So is Jason the first advertising executive not to be stuck in a white collar, sitting behind a desk?
So on a day, I walk around, I take photos, I wear the shirt all day, I blog about those photos, I put them up on Twitter, I change my Facebook profile, and then I do a YouTube video, which also goes on Facebook, which is just me being creative and humorous with the company. I mean, I've got a stop sign on my shirt that says Divorce Detox, so it's easy to talk about. And I do a live video show at 3 o'clock Eastern every single day, just interacting with fans and friends and being on social media.
IWearYourT-shirt.com has become so popular that Jason has hired another t-shirt wearer, Evan, who will gladly show your logo around LA. The two are going great guns working together and have even been nominated for a Shorty Award for advertising. It's a unique way to make a living that seems to be paying off.
Hey everybody, it's November 4th, and I'm in Central Park wearing my Stop Thinking About Your Ex shirt for Divorce Detox. You guys have seen the shirt all day. Now I'm in Central Park and I've got a long sleeve shirt on under my short sleeve because it's cold in New York City. So it's face value of the day. So today is the 304th day of the year. It's $304. January 1st was $1, January 2nd $2, and it went up every day until the last day of the year was $365.
Jason's form of advertising doesn't reach as many viewers as an ad on mainstream TV does, but it is a viable way for companies who can't afford the big production dollars to expand their market base. One company got about 2,000 more hits online than usual. But does Jason ever get sick of wearing t-shirts? And what if he has a wedding to go to?